Welcome to the Trash Panda HQ. If you didn't already know, we're a disc golf manufacturer that makes discs out of 100% recycled plastic right here in our 9,000 square foot building in Denver, Colorado. So as you're about to see, we are basically at the intersection of a plastic injection molding company and a plastic recycling company. If that doesn't make sense, that's totally fine. It's a hodgepodge of things, and let's just go inside and we'll show you. Right away in our lobby, we have basically the history of where it all began right on the wall. This is the original injection machine that I built in my garage. You've also got the original molds. So this is the original aluminum mold for the disc, and then the minis as well. And the original, shout out, unsung hero, the original toaster oven that I got on Facebook Marketplace. No, OfferUp. On OfferUp. It's just such a crazy, like, looking back, I can't even believe that it's a real thing that happened. But yeah, the original Flintstones DIY machine is here in the front lobby. And then the history of Trash Panda kind of runs down this wall all the way basically until we moved in. I don't know why I kept the very first thing I ever injected. We have it called a disc on the wall. But basically, the very first thing I ever injected, all the way through to our 100,000th disc, from the first prototype to the first TPU prototype to the first scaled mold disc that we released to the first one we... Sweet. Thanks, Luna. Okay, so this is Luna, my dog. She likes to interrupt everything. Do you have anything you want to say? No? Luna, now's your time. Nothing. And then the first office is right here. It's actually mine and Kelly's. Kelly is our head of experience. Kelly always gives the tours when people come through for a tour. What's your favorite thing to show people during the tour? What's the standout?
That's such a good question. I mean, of course, the disc making in the back is the highlight. Everyone loves that. But I think honestly what you just showed, which was the garage molds, it's like a relic at this point, and people are so excited. Most of the people who come through have been watching since the garage days, so they see it and they're like, "Oh my gosh, I've seen that on YouTube." So that's always the best.
Definitely never imagined back in the garage that it would be like a piece of history there. It's crazy. All right, going down the hall, we get to the second and only other office. We got Tom. Tom is our head of marketing.
Hello, it's me.
Tom is, I call him a world builder in terms of like what we do, because every disc, we talk about every disc is like a new world to build. What's your favorite world you've built? If you look right here on the wall, there's like all of them to some extent.
I'm going to go, it's probably a hot take, but E.T. I think was one of the most fun.
Since you work up here in the air conditioning and the heat, what is your favorite part when you go back there? What's your favorite thing back there that the people are about to see?
Probably annoying Kyle, which is easy.
It's our only sale of the year, so it's the only day that Kyle is not allowed to listen to Taylor Swift.
What was the concept again?
So you aren't going to be listening to Taylor Swift for the...
No, thanks.
No, like it's a reel that we're doing, so
No, it's okay. I think I'll pass. Thank you, though.
So that is Tom's office. And then last but certainly not least in the office space is our conference room. We're massive conference room people. I'm a huge fan of a whiteboard. My team gives me a very hard time about being a fan of a whiteboard. And I even have, not joking, a level in here so that I can draw level lines on the whiteboard as we're looking at things. Some call it OCD, whatever, doesn't matter. And then right here we have 2 of every single disc we've ever made. So this is 2 of every run ever. Obviously we need more racks. We've filled up these racks with 2 of everything, but it starts all the way at the beginning. It's just so cool that like all of this is a reminder of how far we've come since the garage days. And it hasn't been that much time, but every single disc up here just represents so much blood, sweat, and tears, lessons learned, work put in, whatever. So that's the conference room, which brings us to the tool room. Molds in injection molding are sometimes called tools. And so a tool room is the room that's basically designated to work on said tools. So we've got some pieces of equipment to work on them. And then we've also got a table. This table, first time we ever tried to work on a mold, we put it on one of our tables and the table just went like this, like bowed down, because molds are like 700 pounds. So this table is like 3,000 or 4,000 pounds, and we can put them on here, work on it just fine. This is going nowhere. Speaking of molds, this is what a mold looks like now. So if you remember the mold from the front, actually, so just for reference, this is one of the original garage molds, and then this is one of our molds today. Actually, this is the OG mid-range, this is the Dune. So this is what became the original, how do I want to say that? This prototype became this, whatever, words are hard. So this is the tool room, and that leads us to the warehouse. Was that a cool reveal? So this is the warehouse. We've got a lot to talk about back here, and the machines are right down there. We will talk about them soon. But first and foremost, we have our plastic. So everything we do here is 100% recycled, which means full stop, no matter what, it's all recycled plastic, which is very unusual in injection molding. In fact, I think we're technically, I've never heard of another injection molding company that only uses 100% recycled plastic. So this might be a tour of the only one in the world, but we'll put an asterisk on there because I don't know for sure. Regardless, in recycled plastic, we basically have three versions. There's small, medium, and large batch recycled plastic. And this is our small batch. Small batch basically means that this is all we've ever gotten of this plastic and all we will ever get of this plastic moving forward. Like, that's it. And most companies in injection molding are trying to optimize for scale and consistency and making tens or hundreds of thousands of units. And for us, we're trying to make sure that plastic doesn't end up in landfills. So this is as much of this we'll ever make, and then it's on to the next one. Now, again, this is just the small batch. We'll talk about medium and large batch because we do much larger scale as well. But we have some really exciting plans with this for next year because our small batch plastics have really grown in what we've gotten. And one of the cool things about Trash Panda is that when it comes to any disc golf manufacturer, variability between runs might be a bug, but for us, it's a feature and not a bug. And this wall is the epitome of that story. I love looking at this wall. We asked Tom and Kelly what their favorite parts were back here, and maybe it's because I'm desensitized to the machines, but I love looking at this wall and just seeing like what's possible with a garage and a dream. So this is our small batch plastic, which actually brings us to our medium batch. And yes, it's almost a tease because the machines are back here, but we'll get there. We're almost there, I swear. This is medium batch plastic. Basically what this is I want to say this was 5,000, maybe it was 10,000 pounds, where someone locally called and said, hey, I have all this TPU, it needs to be recycled, I'll sell it to you for this amount of money. And I was like, hey, we're all good, we don't need more plastic, we're up to our eyeballs already in it. And I said, but if you're just going to throw it away, then at least we can send a truck to pick it up and we'll make sure it doesn't end up in a landfill. And they said, deal. Like, that's just the reality of plastics. For some companies, space is more valuable than the landfill fee and the plastic itself. So our medium batch plastic is kind of from those rare one-off sources where it's like, yet again, we'll never get this again. This is it. The company that made this, like, they stopped making this. We won't get it again, but we'll at least make sure this gets recycled and is able to fly on a disc golf course. So that's medium batch plastic. We'll get to large batch, but before large batch, let's get to the machines. So we have two injection molding machines. Right here, we have a 180 ton machine, and that's Matt running the machine. And then over here is our original machine. This is a 220 ton machine. So this is Kyle. Kyle runs all of our disc manufacturing. He's our head of operations. One day, here, Kyle, say hi to the people.
Hello, people.
One day, I just came to you and I was like, hey, you want to learn how to make discs? And that's pretty much the story, right?
Yeah, that's really all it took to get me to do it. No convincing whatsoever, and we figured it out.
So basically, a lot of our videos are us testing stuff and trying different things. So what's a fun fact that doesn't make it on video? What's something about this space or things you do that doesn't make it on video as a little peek behind the curtain, if you will.
I don't think people really see how much trial and error we have.
Yeah.
Like, I'll use. We got a new mold early last year. Not only were we learning a new mold, but we were learning a new machine.
Yeah.
And it was weeks of trying to figure it out.
A fun fact about that also is that you said it was early last year. We got our first injection machine early last year. It was early this year.
2025 has been a long year.
That's how much trialing we do. So that's Kyle. He is currently making Procyon. And then over here we have his protege, Matt, who's making the outer core in yellow. Matt, say hi to the people.
Hello, people.
So Matt, you've been with us now. You started in February this year.
Yep.
Okay, so that means you've had enough time to learn the quirks of every mold. So what's your favorite mold to run?
Oh.
And what's your least favorite mold to run?
I like Canyon, which is not around right now.
The Canyon's your favorite to run?
Yeah, I love running Canyon. Least favorite right now is probably Ozone
Okay.
for various reasons.
Ozone has been, I mean, arguably the mold with the most problems for us.
It seems like it.
Period.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Canyon is your favorite.
Yeah. I
Why
love Canyon.
why is Canyon your favorite?
I don't know. There's partially, I think I started at the exact time that like Canyon
You
became
did.
a thing.
Yes.
There's that part of it, I think, and also just runs nice, and I love the disc. So
Yeah.
I don't
Dang. So it's like the inner core for me of like that was the first for me, and it was like
Totally.
kind of the first for you. What about machine? When
Ooh.
people look at these machines, they might not think, oh, they're different, but they're totally different.
I'd probably mostly prefer this
Yeah.
machine.
Do you want to explain to the people what the names of the machines are?
This is Little Germ because he's littler than Big Germ. Duh.
Wow.
I'll be here all day.
So that's Matt. And then there are two pieces of ancillary equipment that kind of go with the machines that we need to talk about. The first is a dryer. The main type of plastic we recycle is called TPU, which stands for thermoplastic polyurethane. And TPU is hygroscopic, meaning that it absorbs moisture from the air. So you actually have to dry it before you can mold it, because if you don't, it basically just boils up, becomes completely unusable and waste. And that's not the business we're in at all. So we have a handful of dryers. I think Kyle's even named them. Yes. Apparently this is Fulton and Dean. And then this is Bombay. There's a bit I'm not getting. I do not understand these. And then last but certainly not least, there's Charlie. Basically, we dry plastic for about 4 hours before we run it because we're running regrind, which is inconsistent in size. And regrind gets us to the grinders. Basically, you always want to have a grinder next to the press so that you're able to grind, for example, the sprues that are cut off when you're making the disc. If you don't have a grinder, then the second you cut this off, now this is waste as opposed to something that we can recycle unless you have a grinder next to the press. So we always want to have a grinder next to the press running what we're running that day. And we actually have 4 grinders. So this is Jeff, and then this is Bruce. Bruce is actually the first grinder we ever got. He's big and green. You get the idea. What's this one's name?
That one back there is Dale.
Dale?
Yes.
Genuinely, I don't think I've heard Dale before. And then this is the most recent addition to the team that Kyle named Theodore. So this is Theodore. Theodore's awesome because he has this blower system and everything's just way more optimized so that when we grind, it's all going right in here as opposed to being something that we have to manually feed out. Theodore is... I actually was listening to a podcast recently that made me think of Theodore. Yes, that's a sentence I just said out loud. I was listening to this podcast from this guy who was talking about the difference between being cheap and frugal. And I think Bruce is the perfect example of being cheap, and Theodore is the perfect example of being frugal. This machine cost more on paper than Bruce, but Bruce has cost us more problems than Theodore. I can't believe I'm just calling them by their names. This is ridiculous. Regardless, it basically helped me reframe the idea of like, sometimes you have to choose something that on paper might be more expensive for it to actually be less expensive in the long run. The case in point is there's a little grate inside. It's like a strainer that basically determines the size of the regrind that comes out of these machines. because this one is so old, we actually had to get that custom made, and it took, I think it was 12 weeks and cost over $1,000. This one, being a newer grinder, it was off the shelf and it cost $200. That right there alone is just, think about the time we made up on this one versus the time lost on that one. I guess it makes sense that they have names because they're teaching us lessons. So the grinders are actually the perfect segue to then talk about large batch plastic. So if you look over here, this is still medium batch plastic. Basically where we draw the line between medium and large is medium is stuff we still grind in-house. So it gets up to like 5 to 10,000 pounds. And then anything we're recycling that's like 20 to 40,000 pounds is something that's probably pre-ground, and that's gonna be large batch. And for that, we actually have a separate part of the warehouse that we don't often show on camera. We don't have a great name for it. We kind of call it like the murder shed, but this is the back space of the warehouse where we're able to store way more of those larger batches. And it actually looks, funny enough, it looks a little empty to me right now because we have another load coming in, and we just made some space, reorganized some things, and our shipping container is also full of plastic, which leads to an important thing to talk about, which is lean manufacturing. Oftentimes, I think people look at what we do and don't understand that we don't have the liberty to be lean with certain things. Like when a manufacturer calls me and says they're going to throw away 5,000 pounds of plastic unless we take it, we're going to take it. And then when we run out of plastic, it's not like we can just call our plastic supplier and say, hey, we need more of this plastic, and then they make it again, like you can in the virgin plastic world. For recycled plastic, it's available when it's available, and when people need it to be recycled, like we need to have the space to be able to take it and work with it, whether we need it right now or not. And I guess there's another nuance to add to that, which is we made our molds at varying volumes to accommodate different densities of plastic. So there's some plastic back here that like would be too heavy as a Procyon, but works perfect as an inner core. So we basically just have to have excess inventory to be ready for any situation. And at one point I would have looked at this and been like, that's excess inventory. And even what's in our shipping container. And now I'm like, we'll need more plastic pretty soon because we're recycling plastic so quickly. Gosh, sometimes when I'm giving tours, it just helps me see it through like fresh lenses again and remember like, man, it really is so crazy how far we've come. So that is the shed. And then if you don't believe me on large batch, well, you don't have to believe me, but we also have a 40-foot shipping container full of recycled plastic as well. Also, this is Alan, and Rod Kimball was the one you saw outside. Everything has a name. Genuinely, everything has a name. I guess I should also mention that this is kind of like currently our staging area. It's stuff that we're currently in the middle of testing, things you'll see next year, things that are releasing super soon, whatever it is. It's not necessarily a perfect area. I don't know what's going to happen here, but we've moved everything in this warehouse a couple times to really figure out the perfect setup. And I think everything's in like a pretty good spot right now for what you're seeing, except this. This could definitely all potentially move. We'll see. But that brings us to something we've also tweaked a bunch, which is the disc recycling program. Back when I was in the garage, people just started sending me discs to recycle that like their dog chewed up or something like that. And I thought it was just like a couple discs that were out there that needed to be recycled. So we started this program. And after having now recycled over 30,000 discs and getting boxes in every single day to recycle, I now realize the need is much greater than I once thought it was. And it's everything. I mean, this is a disc we recently got in. Like, a dog had the time of its life with this disc. Someone had the time of their life with this disc. We have no idea what happened to this disc, but it might have something to do with the microwave. And the other day, I kid you not, this is ridiculous, this super chewed up Envy came in. And when we looked at it a little closer, we realized it's literally signed by James Conrad. So, sorry, James. the dog won on this one. But what makes me just like so stoked about this program is stuff like that. Yes, we get perfectly good discs, and we make sure those get donated to schools and different programs like through Uplay, stuff like that. But we also get discs in like this that are like, if not for this program, that would be in a landfill, no questions asked, because no one knows how to recycle it. But we do, because we're working on having that insider knowledge. We're optimized for small batch. And I guess if over there we talked about small batch, this is kind of tiny batch. And actually, in the last 2 weeks, this is what has come in to be recycled. So these are the 2 bins of stuff that needs to be sorted, donated, cleaned, and then sorted into our program to then be ground up and recycled. It's don't start a dish recycling program. It's a terrible program. Genuinely, like, it's so cool and I'm so happy about it. I love what we get to do, but it is such a fickle program because every manufacturer has 12 types of plastic and no one knows exactly what it is, and we have to figure that out. To be clear, I'm joking. I love this program. We will never stop doing this program. And if you have discs that need to be recycled, you can send them to us and you get a discount on a future order. So you can check out our website for that. But yeah, so that's the disc recycling program, which brings us to shipping and fulfillment and all of our inventory. Right here, we've got a pallet that's staged, ready to go. This is actually going to Dismember for their subscription box. This is a really cool box. I'm not going to show you what's inside because it's a surprise for the box. But this is all of the inventory that we currently have. So we've now moved officially out of manufacturing into actual stock inventory. Over here we have Chad. Chad, say hi to the people.
Hi.
You can hold this.
Okay.
I'm not going to do your work for
Come
you.
on, man.
Chad joined us this year as our material handler. If you meet someone on the course and you tell them you work at Trash Panda and they say, what do you do? How do you explain what you do?
I typically say I just kind of do the recycling. I'm in charge of checking in, inventorying, sorting, grinding, preparing all the plastic for production.
When Chad joined us, I explained to him that he was the grease in the bearings of Trash Panda because so much is moving. It's not just recycled plastic, but you know there's a lot of recycled plastic.
Oh, yes.
Beyond that, it's packaging. I mean, pallet racking.
Yeah. Installing shelving, racking, organizing, forklifting.
Yeah. How's driving a forklift?
It's interesting. It's been a lot of fun, though. It's definitely something new
Chad,
to my repertoire.
Yeah, Chad joined us when the forklift out there, the brakes didn't work. And the first time I had you drive it, I was like, okay, I'll get the brakes fixed. Like, I didn't want to spend over $1,000 to get them fixed. But then the first time I saw you trying to pump the brakes and move the levers up and down, I was like, okay.
Yeah,
we gotta
it was
get
like
this
one too many things to think about at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like, wait, we should just stop when we want to stop.
So that's Chad. This is the shipping and fulfillment area. And then actually, if we work our way over here, one of the things that's really nice about this warehouse compared to the previous one we were in is that at the previous one, we shared it with other people. We had to go buy them for the dock door. There was only one dock door, etc. This one's really nice because we have 2. So receiving's in one spot. And then all orders that are like literally going out today are here, ready to go. UPS, USPS show up right here every single day. And the orders can get shipped out. Plus the bigger batch orders as well. Now, interestingly enough, we're filming this very close to when USPS comes to pick up. So our shipping team is done for the day, but this is kind of where they have everything set, ready to go. They've got their own flow and everything for this space. It's quite impressive. And this space is in many ways constantly changing. But probably my sneaky favorite part of the entire warehouse is this mural. One of our local patrons, Scott, did this. He absolutely crushed it. I told him I wanted it to feel like you're outside. And he did this like outdoorsy stained glass effect that I think is just fantastic. And he even added things that are like just the most subtle nods. Like over here you have canyons, and then you have red rocks, the basket, silver basket from Beaver, the dunes, a little adorable Trash Panda in the fall leaves. It's just, every time I see it, I smile. And yeah, shout out to Scott. Such a cool thing. As you can tell, I'm sure, we're already filling out the space a little more than I'd like to be, but it's kind of the name of the game. This is our 5th warehouse, and I'd love to not move again, but time will tell. regardless, I'm so proud of what we get to do. I'm so proud to come to this warehouse and walk in here every day and see this team absolutely crushing it. And I love having the garage machine at the front to remind me of where it all started. Every single day, remembering where it started, and the fact that this would have utterly blew my mind had I seen it 5 years ago. So yeah, I'm super proud. And it's not because of the work I've done, it's because of the work that this team and what you all have made possible. So thanks for coming out to the HQ, and bye. Like every single disc on here is a lesson learned, and like there's a story behind it. Like Baylor, point to literally any disc and we'll talk about the story behind it. This one right here.
Yeah.
I have no idea.